Welcome to Talking About Orcs, the introduction. Today I'm just going to go over real quick how this series is going to go. I'm pretty much going to follow the formula set out by the other people. Just start with going over one unit at a time, followed by army lists and tactics, and anything else I can use to fill up some time. For this introduction video, I'm going to start talking about my favorite unit, the one unit I almost never play a game without. You can see here is my custom force field mech. Is that my favorite unit? No. It's good. I do rarely play without it, but it's still not my favorite unit. He's much more of a support. So what's next? Ludas? Are Ludas my favorite unit? Nah, not even close. I can live without Ludas. I frequently play without them. They do have a lot of firepower, but they're not very reliable, or not entirely reliable, which is kind of the nature of orcs. But I definitely prefer a much more solid and reliable way to kill things, and that would usually be close combat. So what is my favorite unit? My favorite unit by far is 12 Ard Boys in a truck, led by a Knob, of course, with the Power Claw, including my little 3rd edition truck, which hides everywhere. This is the one unit I hardly ever play a game without. They are fast, incredibly deadly. They can get stuck in with things that normal boys can't get stuck in with due to their higher armor save. These guys are much, much better than Marines, pretty much across the board. And of course, they're a lot cheaper. At 10 points a model, they're still pretty spinny for orcs, but they're not going to die. Even when the truck gets popped, not if, but when, remember, the damage they're going to take is going to be a lot less having that 4+ armor save. In fact, it's not unusual for me to lose either just one or no models when the truck explodes. And of course, they are still troops. They're just an upgrade for your regular troop, regular boys mob. So you don't need to worry about an elite slot, and of course they are scoring units because of that. And I run them with Chopper and Slugger, even though I have heard of people using Shudas on the Ard Boys. I run them with Choppers and Sluggers because they are meant to get stuck in. And that extra attack, when you're stuck in with something for a long time, makes a big difference. Now, I do use these usually as a shock unit, as a first attack. As I use them as an elite. They provide a lot of hitting power. And as I said, they're a lot more resilient than your normal boys. I will usually fling these guys forward ahead of everybody so that they will provide my first wave. I will send them at tanks or anything else that is a major threat. Kroot are a good example of something I'll send them against. Assault squads, striking scorpions, banshees, any close combat orientated unit. I need to make sure does not get the charge on my boys. That's what the Ard Boys will go for. You do have to be careful with things like bloodletters and other units that have all power weapons, because in those kind of units you do want to use regular boys, because there's no point in wasting the points on the heavy armor on something that's going to be just ignoring it anyway. So they do take a little bit of care, but not a whole lot. Even if they get sacrificed, to delay my opponent's heavy hitting close combat unit for a turn to allow the rest of the boys to come in and get a good charge with a full-size mob or even 2 trucks worth of regular boys. They've done their job. This unit, as it sits, runs in at 200 points. with the only upgrade taken on the truck being the reinforced ram. Occasionally I'll run a red paint job, which bumps it to 205, but not very often. I generally find the extra inch doesn't mean a whole lot, and I'd rather use those points on another boy somewhere else. So this is my favorite orc unit by far. I mean, it's not even, the Ludas or the mech aren't even a close second. And if you haven't run Art Boys before, I'd highly recommend it, giving them a try. As far as making Art Boys, you can either try and find the Art Boy metal torsos still on eBay. I picked some up not that long ago, but do get kind of spendy. Yeah, but not very many people want them, so it's not that hard to get. They just don't come up very often. The other alternative is to make them yourself out of plastic torsos. And for these, I prefer one specific torso over the rest. And that's this one right here, the one with the big metal plate in the back and the big metal plate in the front. So that's the only plastic torso I use when making Art Boys. And actually there's a Black Reach torso, which is very similar. This guy's missing his arm. I wonder where that went. Yeah, this is the Black Reach guy. And he's also got big armor plates in front and back. So you can make Art Boys out of that. Oh, and he also comes with one shoulder pad already, so you just need to add one. Give him a helmeted head and the iron gob, and there's your Art Boys. Not much work. But if you want them to look right, you do need to be a little picky on the torsos. But that's just me. I like them that way. I do have a full unit of 30 Art Boys. I've taken 19 in a battle wagon before, and those 19 plus the big mech in a battle wagon, and that's just crazy. It's just crazy how good that unit is, and resilient, because anything that would ignore the armor save, at least you get the custom force field save. So you can always take a save against something, except heavy flamers. Regular flamers, at least you get your armor save. So that is my introduction to talking about orcs. And as I said, I'll be going over each unit one by one over time. And look forward to part 2, which will cover the war boss.